Eight of Cups family. Welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot and welcome to your short horoscope for Scorpio season. Happy November, guys. It's definitely a very intense month to say the least. Scorpio season is always intense. It just is. It's about the changing. It's about the transformation. It's about the new growth, which often entails the shedding and the letting go. I like to always remind people that when we look at the whole of a season, it's very much deeply connected to the seasons in the Northern Hemisphere. So to get a good idea of what Scorpio is about, you want to take a look at what's happening in nature right now. What is going on is there's a certain amount of death taking over our environment. Things are not thriving. There's a lot of beauty in death, which is why if you are lucky enough to be in the Northern Hemisphere, in more of the North American regions where the leaves begin to turn these beautiful colors and everything looks vibrant and beautiful and alive, and then things start to shed, the leaves fall off and we see the bare bones of what's going on. And that's what Scorpio season is. It's the shedding so that we could see the bare bones of things. Scorpio also represents the underworld, the swamp, and oftentimes during Scorpio season, we tend to find out information that was otherwise hidden from us. Now, that could be due to a million different things, from external circumstances, other people lying to you, other people manipulating the situations, or it could just be how you manipulate or, disempower yourself in some way. Scorpio represents kind of the investigator, and it also represents, in financial terms, a reconciliation. So it's a great time for assessment. Oftentimes you look at nature, again, going back to this nature, and we tend to see the animals that are getting ready for the winter months, getting ready for their hibernation, making sure they have enough food, making sure that, and this is kind of where we're at mentally as well. We're in the preparation for winter. A lot of us are assessing our finances in certain ways as well. And you'll see this play out absolutely this month as far as the economy goes. There's going to be a lot more questions coming up, and we're going to want to get to the bottom of stuff. Why does this work that way? Why is this happening? What does this mean? You'll probably, I often see, because Scorpio does rule an investigative and journalism kind of thing, you're going to see a lot of news stories come out that could be somewhat shocking, and it could really change the way that you look at things. And I've been telling everybody, I don't care what side you're on of the political game, or if you're just completely sick of it, there's no way we're not affected. And it's probably a good idea to pay attention to what's happening with a healthy amount of detachment. And the Jupiter in Aquarius is going to help us with that. We can't be so attached to outcomes. We know that with Jupiter moving through Aquarius, and we're definitely going to know that when Jupiter starts to move through Pisces, that this is not a time for attachments. It is a time of release and letting go and understanding where we are in the bigger picture of things. The saving grace is we're moving into Sagittarius season, and that's going to be a beautiful, hopeful, regenerative time if we put in the hard work now. So end of October, most of November is going to be really getting to the bottom of our shadow work. This is going to fall in a different part of all of our charts. So for some of us, we're getting to the bottom of where we are financially. What's holding us back? What's stopping us from making these transformations? There's going to be an emphasis on our need for freedom. Obviously, as you could say, things are playing out in the collective as a need for freedom. A lot of people are afraid that their rights are being stripped from them, and that Venus and Sag, and then as Mercury starts to move through Sag and the sun moves through Sag, there's going to be a bigger emphasis on our freedom. And we have to figure out what's holding us back before we figure out how to become free of it, right? We've got to get to the bottom of these stories that we tell ourselves. And the great thing about Scorpio is that it's so deeply psychological. This isn't about like the little stuff. It's about really getting to the bottom of things psychologically. It's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. Now, I always say that there's always two very drastically different ways that this energy can express itself. And the lower realm of Scorpio is to be super protective, very vindictive, very secretive and private, and doesn't really like vulnerability. But these are also the qualities that it requires in order to have that evolution. And we're all clearly on this path of evolution. So if we can't be vulnerable in our relationships, vulnerable in ourselves, if we can't take those risks, then the alternative to that is that things will simply stay the same. And the fixed signs oftentimes like things to stay the same, even if they're not comfortable. However, this month, we're going to get an idea of where that comes from within us. What is holding us back? What's keeping us from making these changes? What are those old habits or those old storylines we told ourselves? What's the fear? Really, the Scorpio season is, what is the fear? And if you're doing or operating out of a place of fear, you can kind of expect to be cracked wide open in this area. You know, if we want or need certain things or people to behave a certain way or to stay the same and not allow these things to change and grow, then that's where we hold ourselves back as well. And this is a moment of breakthrough for that, as we have a new moon in Scorpio making an opposition to Uranus in the beginning of the month. This happens on the 4th, and this is a really big energy for these huge breakthroughs. A lot of us are going to figure out why we do the things we do and that we don't want to do them anymore. Now, even in terms of like our diet and our food, and what are we ingesting energetically is a super big part of the storyline this month. Now, I know I just said that we have to pay attention because Scorpio season is going to demand our attention to get to the bottom of these stories. Who do we believe? What do we believe? How's it going to affect us? How do we want to change? Of course. But there's also this energy of allowing the transformation to occur. Remember, there's things we have to let go of. So we have to take a good look at ourselves, psychologically, how we do things, how we hold on to things. And we also have to reassess, where would we be? Would we be better off if we let some of these things go? Some of us, this is like cleaning out the closets, cleaning out the basement kind of stuff. Some of us, this is reassessing our finances. You know, there's this emphasis on that freedom, which means that we're going to want to shed some stuff so we can be freer. Sometimes fate has a way of taking care of this for you. You know, oftentimes I see in these transits, you know, you want to travel, you want to go all these different places, but you have like an elder pet at home. And these transits can come in and kind of end that storyline, not because you wanted it to end, of course, but because the universe says it's time. It's time for this phase to be over and this adventure to begin. It's not always easy. And oftentimes Scorpio energy can be painful, but it's about confronting and feeling the pain and then moving through it. It's about allowing things to end so we can create the new story. A lot of us collectively are having these stories play out in our careers and in our finances, for sure. This is going to be an overwhelming theme, especially as Venus starts to move into Capricorn. This is not a comfort level for Venus at all. Venus in Capricorn means that we've got to kind of hold back a little bit. We've got to, again, like I explained with the animals, what are they doing? They're making sure they have enough food for the long winter. And we have to pull back and make sure that we have enough resources to get us through the harder times. Some of us need our resources to be a form of faith. Some of us, it's actually quite literally financially. Some of us, it's support from other people. There's needs there's wants, and there's something in between here. And it's those necessary tools that we need to recreate this next transition phase. Guys, 2022, Jupiter moving into Pisces. It's a 6-year. This is a very spiritual time for everybody on the planet. And oftentimes that means that because we have to renew our faith, there might be external circumstances that are making you really lean on it at this time. Some of us are facing losing our jobs or our careers. Some of us are facing having to take our children out of school. These are all very real considerations that are going on for people at this time. And as you could see, that all of those options can create an energetic field within us of fear. We got to look that fear right in the face and say, well, what's the worst case scenario and how do I prepare for it? What can I do to strengthen my resolve and my faith when things aren't really going my way? And what do these things mean? What do these roadblocks mean? How do we change these things? The universe wants you to change. Eclipse season is when these things become necessary. It's when the universe sweeps in and makes the changes anyways. So it's a good time to confront your fears. It's a great time to get to the bottom of the hows and whys and the whats. It's a good time to look at what you see for the future and what are the changes you can make right now in order to move forward toward that path. If anybody is suffering depression, and again, there's so much Saturnian energy for the past year or so, really the past several years, that we could feel this culmination and we could say to ourselves, man, I just don't feel good. I feel achy. I feel tired all the time. I don't feel optimistic. Of course, we're embodying this energy, and we're also embodying the energy of those that we're surrounded with by the news that we're watching, by, just all the craziness that's happening. Maybe it's a good time for some of us to address that, maybe by seeking therapy in some way, seeking some kind of healing dualities. It's a great time for that. It's a great time to dig into our dream interpretations. And it's also, like I said, a great time to look financially deeper into these things. And what do we need? Is there things that we could sell or get rid of in order to free up more financial money, to free up our time? Maybe there's sacrifices we can make so we don't have to work a full-time job, so that we can give more time to our creative projects, which are going to become so important in the next few months as that node moves to the very anaretic degrees of Gemini and Sag. And we have this full moon eclipse coming up in Taurus, and I just want to remind everybody that Taurus does rule the throat chakra, and it is in the second and third decans of this Taurus energy that we're dealing with between the eclipse and where Uranus is located. Now, the second decan of Taurus is Virgo. So again, mundane astrology, the things that are taking place now is quite literally changes for the way that we serve others. So you're looking at these changes with the police. You're looking at these mandates affecting, the medical service-oriented things, pilots, these are all people that, and even the military is ruled by Virgo. So you're looking at people, massive amounts of the collective that are going through these changes and having to confront these fears of whether, if I don't want to get a vaccine, is this worth losing my job or losing my career, or all these years of college and the investments that I put into them? These are not easy decisions. And that's where we can kind of trust these eclipses to come through and change our momentum towards our destiny. And so Venus in Sag, Mercury is going to be moving through Sag. Eventually the sun is going to catch up and move through Sag at the end of the month, closer to this transit. And Taurus also rules the throat chakra. And there's a need for expressing our self-worth here. What are our priorities? What are our values? We're going to begin to associate strongly with some very literal hopes and values that we have. What do we want that new life to look like? What do we want these new structures that we're creating to look like? And it has to be more authentic and of ourselves. Jupiter is going to demand this at the end of Aquarius. There's no more masking things. Quite literally, there's no more masking what we want and what we desire. It's just simply this energy is too big within us for it to be ignored. So it's a really beautiful time for us to assess what really matters to us. Take ownership of the things that we truly want and desire, and to let go of the rest. Now, this month is a lot about compromise. We're going to have to find the compromise. If you are in any kind of a Scorpio energy in which you can't accept a loss in some way, because Mars is going to move into that area in Scorpio, it's going to trigger our egos a lot. And again, I'm going back to those two different forms of that Scorpio energy. If we don't get our way, we could be very vindictive. We can become very manipulative. We're going to feel this need to control situations. This comes from a deep-seated, deep-rooted need to be in control so that we don't have to confront the unknown. The other side of Scorpio is if you let go, oftentimes the things we fear, we're never really worthy of it to begin with. So we have to allow these transformations to take place. We have to allow the dying off in order for the new growth to emerge later. That's ultimately the theme this month, guys. It's a heavy, intense month, but it's a great pause, and it's a great time to assess where we are, what we want, and how to move towards that in a better way. So in a lot of ways, you can make so much of a leap forward this month by confronting all of that inner stuff that blocks us. All right, guys, I do hope you have an amazing November. I hope you enjoy your November readings, and I'll be seeing you shortly. Take care. Bye. Hello, Gemini. Welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot, and welcome to your cards for November. Guys, what a beautiful month. I think overwhelming. If you take nothing from this reading, there's a pivotal message here that you must trust yourself. Now, we have a strong emphasis on your 12th and 6th house, right? Taurus, Uranus in your 12th house. You could expect, especially towards the middle of the month, to get probably feeling quite a bit restless, but there's breakthroughs that are coming for you. And because it's 12th house, you may feel the need to, and in order to kind of hone into this messaging, to these upgrades, probably best to give yourself an ample amount of quiet, free space and time. Which means Gemini is probably best not over scheduling or over committing yourself this month. But I think if you take that route, you're probably going to come up on some challenges. Now, when we look at Scorpio transiting, Scorpio transiting your 6th house, there's also quite a bit of healing here. And generally the 6th house, work, service, daily rituals, and routines, is also a little bit of a deeper house. And by that, it's about our service to others, right? It's a house ruled by Virgo. And we have a lot of Virgo coming up in this reading. Now we have the Chiron card showing up, and I always attribute Chiron to the energy of Virgo. We have the 6 of Pentacles, which is a very Virgo vibe as well. And there's an opportunity here to change the way that you are in service to others. And I really feel like this epiphany that you get this month is like that thing that really changes the trajectory of how and what you are trying to accomplish. Now, you are coming out this month as the Queen of Cups. And there's something very powerful and gentle and relaxing about this particular queen. See, it's not about the doing. It's not about the accelerating, the accumulation of. It's not about like what we can achieve. and the most that we can achieve, the way that we use this energy to the best of us, is to be in a relaxed state of surrender. And the Queen of Cups is aware that her emotions and her ability to heal some of the deeper wounds, which is what's going to come up in that Scorpio new moon. This is going to kind of be the theme, is like this deep healing that comes up through Scorpio season. And this is in relationship to how you are of service to others. Now, I just want to talk for a second about, if some of you are entering into some kind of service healing work, kind of like a light worker in some way, or therapist, or spiritual work in some way. Oftentimes we're called to this craft because life has given us experiences in order to deepen our empathic abilities. So in other words, life is not always easy, and often the people that serve others, that serve to heal others, carry a lot of internal wounds, because this is how we learned how to ascend from the pain. And I think that there's a reaching or a culmination in those wounds and what you are doing, because this month is all about that transcendence, which is why I'm telling you it is so important to take those quiet times. Now, this could be different for everybody. It could just be like, schedule yourself a 10-minute quiet time per day. Like if you're a super busy person, you deal with a lot of people. Oftentimes I see this with Geminis. It's important to kind of honor your space and your soul, and to allow yourself to reconnect and heal on a daily basis, which is what that 6th house is all about. For some of us, this is a reflection of a job change, which can also be very stressful. Maybe we're completely changing what we want to do for a living, or how we're going to go about making money, and that's can trigger a lot of fears within us. And that Scorpio is going to bring all of those inner fears to the surface so that we could kind of heal that inner child within us. And there's like voices here that, like people in the past or growing up, or the messages that you received, or the examples that were set for you were kind of like, oh, it's not possible to make a living or be successful doing this particular thing. But the quality that it brings to this world, and what this world requires at this time. And so we have to exit from those old ways of thinking, from the labels that were created and the examples that were set to us that says that this is not possible. Because we have to start to respect our calling. And when we start to respect our calling, which is very much that Queen of Cups energy, because she knows that the value that she brings into this world is critical and important, okay? She's kind of the symbol of like the maternal instinct. And, you could say a lot about, and I think society says a lot about people that choose to be like a stay-at-home parent, a stay-at-home mother or father. And it's like the idea that you are not actually contributing to society as a whole, which is absolutely ridiculous, because your priority is in raising beautiful humans and healed humans to enter this world and do great things. And your contribution to this world is important. And it's time for you to realize how important it is. I can't underestimate to you how powerful Scorpio season is when we start to step into ourselves. These things that we thought weren't really important, or they weren't high quality, or they weren't something that netted value in day-to-day world, is simply changing. And those values are very needed as society starts to make this great transition. It is your voice and your experience that serves as a guide. And I can't imagine anything more important. And when you are doing a service like that, and when you recognize in your soul what that calling is about, you also have to learn to trust that the universe will take it from here. Environment is that of the Chariot. when you start to heal these parts of yourself that say this isn't realistic or this isn't important, the universe shows up in support and takes you down the road and the journey that you're meant to go on, towards the people that you're meant to meet and accelerate this dream. So there's a lot of movement within a pause, probably most of the month as we do this internal healing. Now I'm looking here at this Ace of Cups and then this Queen of Cups in reverse. And sometimes I get a negative vibe from that Queen of Wands in reverse because, you know, in reverse, she could be jealous and resentful and hurtful in some way. There could be a little bit of an ego imbalance. And sometimes that ego, which is meant to serve us, right? That's that ego that says, you can't quit this 9-to-5 job because you'll never be able to pay the bills. This is not a realistic thing. But this Ace of Cups comes along as an opportunity for you to change that thought process. But what I'm really getting from this Queen of Wands is she's such a bulldozer, right? Like she just wants to get things done, to get things accomplished. And this month is, like I said, like this energy of like taking a step back from the need to accomplish and do and achieve, and to give yourself a break in order to embrace this inner love. And probably for some of you, an outer source of love, and a circumstance coming from your external life, be it through other people, be it through, I want to use an example here. I actually signed up for this course that I'm very excited to study with. And just the other day, I received a confirmation email with my, enrollment packet. And for a moment, I was really like taken back. I really felt a moment of being emotionally raw. This happens with that Chiron energy. And I was just really overcome with this feeling of gratitude that I even had this opportunity, this thing that showed up and I grasped it, right? Queen of Wands, she grasps those opportunities. She draws them to her. And I was just so taken back by the emotion of being so grateful for where I am in life and the opportunity and the time and even the financial stability that I have to be able to make this commitment to higher learning in a course of study that really truly talks to my soul. This isn't like learning a new skill for a job I don't really even like. This is something that feeds me both emotionally and on a soul level. This is where my soul truly desires to ascend throughout this lifetime. So I was just so taken back and grateful. And I think that this is kind of the vibe that I'm getting for Gemini this month, of like this ability to just kind of sit back and be grateful for the things that you have, to be forgiving to the things that got you here because they got you here. And I think more so this Queen of Wands in reverse is the universe is giving you an invitation to take a break. That nothing really needs to get done right now that you don't want to do. Now, the interesting thing is we move here into this Five of Wands energy, which may be other external circumstances in your life that are be like, we don't really like it when Gemini retreats. See, we need Gemini to do A, B, C, and D every day in order for us to be able to function on our normal level. So when you start to pull back, when you start to serve self, when you start to go down the roads that serve your soul and not the responsibilities of others, the job responsibilities, the whole idea of kind of working for the man instead of working to nourish our soul and to be on our path and to respect that journey, you can expect these people and these circumstances to have a reaction. That's only natural. And these things are going to probably come through as some form of conflict in your life. People saying you're not paying attention to this, you're not doing this like you used to, you're not operating in this mode that I expect you to operate in. You know, it could even be friendships and lovers that are kind of feeling a little bit neglected. And because it's Scorpio season, people are feeling these things on a much deeper level. So it's just not, nobody's really looking at it like, oh, well, Gemini just needs time to be Gemini this month. Because Scorpio can kind of create this feeling or this drama in other people of jealousy and insecurity and fear, because it's bringing those things to the surface for those circumstances. You know, it's important to remember that the Scorpio stings. And so you can expect that if you're starting to draw boundaries in some way, honoring yourself first, there might be some stings that come into your life at this time. But I urge you to not be afraid of them. See, I'm going to jump around a little bit because this is just kind of the flow of the reading for me. We have this 5 of Wands, and directly underneath we have this Chiron card, the card of healing, and then this card number 30 breaking down to a 3, which is Horseman, Herald of Change. And here we have this 3 of Swords in your kind of hopes and fears position. Now, whenever I see a horse on a card in a reading, I'm directly kind of taken to that Sagittarius type of energy, which we will be rolling into the Sagittarius energy at the end of the month. Once we get past this Taurus eclipse around the 19th of November, we're going to start to, like, the 20th, 21st, 22nd, all of this energy is going to start to shift into a more Sagittarius arena of your chart. This is ruling your 7th house. Guys, I can't express it enough. We all know how it goes. Like, certain things get removed in your life in order to replace them with the things that are there to follow you on the next path and journey. And the people that are causing this noise in your life, the people that might feel like they're attacking you or accusing you in some way of letting them down, if you are able to form those boundaries intelligently, okay, and be careful not to slip into that Queen of Wands reverse type of reaction where you bite back. This doesn't need to be a drama. So bottom of deck, 8 of Pentacles is kind of this energy of just you doing you. This is you crafting your art, developing your craft, really understanding the process and the flow of how things work and how you contribute to life. And when I see an 8 of Pentacles, I know that this person is in alignment, in flow with the things they are meant to do. And this is where your energy and focus needs to go this month. You don't want to get lost on the drama of other people's issue. This month is about healing Gemini, because the Chariot, the Horseman, the Sagittarius energy is coming to get you. Okay, it's coming to pick you up at your doorstep and take you to exactly where you've been wishing to go, introducing you to the people that you need to be introduced to. And this month is about drawing your energy away from all of the people and things that are simply sucking your energy and attention away from your flow. And I love that underneath this Herald of Change, we have this card of trust. Gemini, this energy is really powerful in the way that it's going to show up. And I think that because we're rolling into this eclipse season, and because we'll kind of close up eclipse season with an eclipse around the beginning of December in the 7th house sign of Sag, there's gonna be this intense need for freedom. We have to break away from all of these circumstances that says you can't do it this way, you can't do these things, I need you to be here, do this thing, I need you to stay the same. And we know and we trust the universe is supporting us to walk away from those relationships and circumstances and to gain emotional and authentic freedom within our lives, to express ourselves, to express what we do for a living. If our intention is to heal and help other people and to be of service to others, then there's something about these other circumstances that are holding you back. And this is an opportunity to break free from that. And the outcome I love because it's a 6 of Pentacles, which is a reminder of the balance that you have. And when you form these boundaries and when you make these decisions and when you herald in the change in your life, it brings balance back to the table. And when you have that balance, you are more in control in how and what you can give to others. 6 of Pentacles. If you have asked the universe to help you find a way to be financially successful, to be financially stable, and still find a way to give to others. Like, I don't know, I get this vibe of like somebody that really truly loves some kind of volunteer work, and yet they don't get to do it as much because they are stuck in kind of that 9-to-5 matrix of life where, you know, first priority is to make the money and pay the bills. And this society is not thriving in that way any longer. And you know that. And that's what resonates with your soul. And you know there has to be some sort of a course correction coming. Now I'm going to hit back on some of these oracle cards before we close this up. We have this card number 31, the lower world. And this is all this stuff that you're healing. See, this 5 of Wands has had so much control over you, and it's had so much control over your creative process because of those voices that say, no, I need you to do it this way. No, I need you to be, you know, more grounded, less fantastical, you know, in some way. You know, people telling you, oh, come down to earth. You can't do things like that way. You're so ungrounded. And those are the voices that we've ingrained in us since childhood, really. And that's what this lower world card is all about. This is very scorpionic. See, we're going to start to see these things intuitively. We're going to start to be able to see through other people's bullshit. When they say, yeah, but I'm going to need you to stay late. And you say, well, but I had another appointment. I'm going to do this kind of volunteer work. And they're like, why don't you get your priorities straight? And for a long time, that stuck with Gemini, right? This is just an example. That stuck with Gemini, that if I want to be of service to people, if making money isn't my first priority, then I am not like adulting in the real world. And you start to see through people that think that way and say those things. You start to see through them, and you start to see their vulnerabilities, their insecurities, where those things come from. Like, they weren't born that way. They were also given that message. And when you start to see that come out in other people, then you realize how important it is for you to heal that in yourself. And when you start to see those outward circumstances this month, it's important for you to kind of grasp yourself, hug that inner child that heard that message for the first time, and tell them that that's not true. You tell yourself that those messages are not true, and that really, when your intentions are to serve others, when your intentions are so pure of heart, the truth is the universe will always support you. It will always help you in that journey, because it is not about you. It is about all of the other people that are waiting for this healing and this transmutation from this pain that keeps you small. And here we have fairy circles. I see magic everywhere. I look deeper for a solution. I am open to transforming myself. Curiosity is valuable to me. This is exactly what I just explained. You see this pain and this insecurity from other people, and you heal it within yourself, and then you start to hug that part of that person that's kind of projecting all of those ideas onto you. And when you don't carry the wounds, when you're incapable of being hurt by those circumstances, when you take that power back, you can transmute these swords, this pain, these hurtful words or gestures or these betrayals, and you start to heal what they did to you, and then you start to put love into the people that and why they did it. This is not a natural state, right? The Three of Swords, when people do those things to you, the Five of Wands, that's not a natural human state. That comes from their own projected fears and insecurities. And when you live without those, when you enter a state of not feeling like you have to question yourself, not misunderstanding your intentions, when you start to trust the universe, I promise you, you're going to trigger some people. Because that's like walking up to somebody and saying, hey, you know that thing that you always believed in, that one way that you were told the universe works, it's wrong. And you can't expect people to react kindly to that. They'll tell you you're crazy. They'll tell you you're unrealistic. They're telling you you're reaching too far to unrealistic dreams and circumstances. And you are simply untouchable when you live in that state and you don't let their reactions get to you. When you can look at their reactions and say, but I love them anyways, and I understand where that comes from, and I'm not judging, but I'm also not embodying that either. And you just simply wish for their healing. And maybe there's some profound words or advice or something that you leave them with, or just by simply setting the example that they are unable to hurt you or deter you from your true north. Then you know you've done your service there. And here we have the farther gate, bold step forward, card number 55. Now you've got a 5 in the middle of your reading, and this we're ending on a card number 55. 555 is a herald of change, card number 30. Healing these wounds inside of you, healing these relationships and transmuting pain into unconditional love is exactly when the universe says you are ready. The gates open, the doors open, the people come in. This eclipse in your 7th house can be really powerful because it's going to be an absolute paradigm shift from where you are. And all the things that you thought were just silly dreams start to become rooted in reality. We're ending on Pentacles. That's actually bringing things into the 3D reality. Gemini, do not underestimate the power of this Scorpio season for you in terms of healing your relationships and healing your inner thought processes in turn for growth and ascension. This is a really beautiful reading. It's going to be a very powerful month. I wish all of you the very best in November, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care, guys.